What happened? I mean, why? I mean, with Rogue Squadron 2, they at least improved on what the original Rogue Squadron had, but this game, I mean, granted, they did improve on a few things, but, I mean, why did they introduce that really awkward third-person mode? Well, let's just get on with it and I'll explain to you what happened here. Now, one thing you'll notice first off is that this game does copy and paste a lot from Rogue Squadron 2, but that's not my big problem with this game. My big problem is with the third person mode, which I'm not a fan of because the third person shooting actions, for some reason, they just feel very clunky, and it seems like it was just something put in at the last minute or just something that they didn't have any like full plan on what to do with this. I mean, like for example, if you're trying to throw a grenade or something, you have no clue where it'll go, and it's pretty much completely luck based, or it's just set to like a certain distance. So ultimately, it is pretty much just figuring out how far away your enemy will be before you can throw your grenade and figure out what to do. Also, using turrets is terrible, and those things will be mandatory throughout the game. And for some reason, they had the bright idea of having the turrets constantly go back to the center, and are also really sensitive when you're trying to shoot at, a moving enemy or at enemies in general. And that just makes it just seem more clunky, and it just adds into the flaws that are in it. Now, I mean, something that I would have preferred is that they may have made at least the turrets more movable, and also just making the controls at least have their own set of controls, so that way it wouldn't feel like they're trying to put the spacecraft controls into third person shooting. And the same thing also applies to the Jedi missions as well, because there is a lot of platforming that you'll be required to use when you're playing as a Jedi. And with those bad controls as well as just bad camera angle, which camera controls are basically non-existent, you're really going to have yourself getting screwed over a lot because of just the poor controls and the camera angles. So you're really going to hate the third person shooter slash Jedi modes in this, and even those are pretty much what brought down the ratings for this game. And then last are the ATSD controls, which those are horrific. I mean, they give the worst button layout for controlling that. Controlling the head on the walkers is really awkward. I hate to say it, but I think Battlefront EA actually managed to get the ATSD controls right. So that's really a shocker there. But like I said, just these things just seem like they were done at the last minute. Alright, so with the negatives out of the way, what are the positives of the game? Well, with this game, I liked that there was a branching storyline, so that way you'd be able to play as both Luke Skywalker and Wedge Antilles, rather than in Rogue Squadron 2, where you played as Luke for 2-3 missions and then you're Wedge Antilles for the rest of the game. Also, I liked that they went into the expanded universe, similar to how Rogue Squadron 1 did, as well as have a few things connected to the movies as well. Now, the next change I liked, and it may seem minor to some people, but it was a big change for me, which was the ability for some of the spacecraft to have rechargeable ammo, because in Rogue Squadron 2, some craft like the A-Wing, which have sort of like air-to-air missiles, those things didn't recharge, but in this game they do. Therefore, it also makes combat a lot more effective against TIE fighters instead of just shooting your lasers all off in random direction, which I really liked. Made it more like an actual more like an air-to-air flight sim as opposed to like simply space sim. Now, although Factor 5 didn't have the strongest ending to the Rogue Squadron series, I still think this game holds up pretty well within the Rogue Squadron story. It's the weakest of the three, but I still think it's a step above the Starfighter series. But with that, I hope y'all enjoyed this year of Star Wars. It didn't turn out exactly the way we wanted it to, but I'm planning on doing a Let's Play of Rogue Squadron 2 sometime in January, hopefully sometime soon before our school starts up again. And I'll do a little bit of a post-commentary as well on the whole year of Star Wars and just the things to address with it. But thanks for holding out with us, for the few that watched it. And have a great new year, and we'll see you in 2016.